joining in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to NTU EEE's Virtual Open House Zoom panel discussion. Here with us today are some EEE professors, students, and even alumni. To begin, let us have some ground rules. Every attendee is to be muted, and you may turn on your camera. If you have any questions, please type in your questions in the Zoom chat. Hopefully, we'll have a very enriching panel discussion today. Before we start, let's have a short introduction from our panelists. We shall start the introduction from our chair, Professor Tan Yap Ping. Prof Tan, please.
Hi, I'm Professor Tan Yap Ping, currently chair of the School of EEE. And I was, of course, used to be a EE or EEE students. I received both my bachelor, master, and PhD degree all in electrical engineering. And nice to meet all of you online.
Thank you, Prof Tan. Next up, we have Prof Ng, who is the Associate Chair of Student Life. Prof Ng, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm basically taking care of student matters in the school. And, essentially anything that is non-academic, it's under my office. So my background, I'm also like Prof Tan. My training is in EEE related areas. In fact, I graduated from NTU itself with a bachelor and a master's degree. Subsequently, I did my PhD also in EEE before I come back as a faculty. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have about studying with the school.
Thank you, Prof Ng. Next up, we have Prof Gui. Prof Gui, please.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, everyone. You can call me Bagui. Okay, I did my master and PhD in NTU EEE, which is a very interesting experience. And then I'm taking care of outreach, which is a mission outreach, and then bring the student into NTU. And also one thing is the interesting event is I brought quite a number of students went to Silicon Valley. Actually, after that, the Jaff, they also went to Silicon Valley. It was a very exciting experience. So please feel free to ask if you have any question on the outreach or admission matter.
Thank you, Prof Gui. Next up, we have Prof Leong. Prof Leong, please.
So hello, everyone. My name is Prof Leong Wei Ling. I also did my undergraduate in the same school of EE. So I'm happy to actually come back as a faculty to serve the school. So any questions that you have, I'll be happy to actually answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof Leong. That's the introduction from our professors. Here with us today, we have our alumni, Jaff, who has graduated from NTU EEE. Jaff, please.
Yeah, hello, everyone. My name is Jaff. In fact, I just graduated not long. I graduated last year from NTU EEE. I'm currently a research engineer at A-STAR, Singapore's National Research Agency, and I'll be pursuing my PhD at the end of this year overseas. So please feel free to ask me any question you might have about the curriculum, about the student life. I guess I have a lot of experience to share with you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jaff. Next up, we have our current students too in the panelist. Hedi, please.
So hello, everyone. My name is Hedi, and I'm currently a year 1 IEM student, and I was from ASRJC. Currently, I'm also part of the outreach committee, as well as a project member of an VR industry project. Looking forward to speaking to you guys.
Thank you, Hedi. And we also have Ignacius in the panelist.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ignacius. I'm also in year 1 IEM, and I was from Catholic Junior College, and I'm part of the outreach committee as well as the hall committee. Hope we can answer your questions today.
Thank you, Ignacius. Now, my name is Kimberley, and I will be the moderator of today's discussion. I'm a year 1 EEE student, and I was previously from the Singapore Polytechnic. Okay, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. Now we shall begin the panel discussion. Okay, for the first question we have is for Prof Tan. What is EEE? In layman terms and from your point of view.
Wow, in layman terms. Where do I start? Because it probably will take a while before you fully appreciate what EEE is about, right? And electrical and electronic engineering. This is a very well-established discipline. It itself has evolved over the years and making a lot of impacts and contributions in the society. Simply put, you can think of EEE in NTU nowadays. We actually study the fundamentals, applications, systems, and even devices, sensors, which are powered by electricity, run by computer and IC, and connected by data and communication wire and wireless, and controlled by intelligence, right? Which could be AI, data analytics. So anything that we touch on what I just mentioned, you are going to learn quite a bit from this discipline. So in addition to the traditional electrical and electronic engineering bachelor program, the school also run a multidisciplinary program, which we call it Information Engineering and Media Program. So we have 2 students today with us, so you can find out more from them. So this program basically focuses very much on the infocom, right? The information, digital technologies courses, plus the media, the communication, the art and design. So which gives students an edge, not just they can contribute to the ICT industry, they can actually inject all the design and the media, the so-called art component into whatever they touch on. It could be solution, it could be application, it could be any interesting so-called invention or device, and that they are going to come away. So which is again very brief, but you are going to find out more from all the following discussion later.
Thank you, Prof Tan. Next up, we have a question for Prof Gui. How would you compare NTU EEE with NUS EE? And what are the differences between NTU EEE and NUS EE?
Yeah, thank you for the question. If you look at NTU EEE, we are taking in about 700 students, where NUS, I think, is taking about close to 400 students. So the difference is actually that if you look at many countries, like even in USA, there's a best university is Harvard, and then those are humanity, and then when you want to do technology, people will choose to go MIT. So this means that actually NTU itself is called Nanyang Technological University. A lot of our program, in fact, 6 schools are in the engineering programs. And in School of EEE itself, is actually we have 3,000 over students. We have 5 corporate labs. That means industry bring their laboratory research center into a EEE. And then we have a lot of so-called center that actually you cannot find elsewhere in the world. For example, Satellite Research Center, we have a clean room to do IC design. We also have this so-called a lot of things, actually garage, MLDA labs, and it can help the student to do a lot of practical trainings. And then our professors are range very widely. In fact, we are, I think probably that very few universities still keep a energy and a power program. So we have clean energy, we have those telecommunication, IC design, just to name a few. Also that machine learning and robotics. So our school is actually very wide range and very practical. And I should say that when you talk to industry always say that you want the engineer is practical that can contribute to the company directly rather than the theoretical. But again, we also do a lot of research in terms of a postgraduate. In fact, some of our undergraduate students also, their top students also do some undergraduate research in a very fundamental way. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof Gui. Thank you. And actually, yeah, that's what attracted me to NTU EEE also, because I went for the open house tour and there were a lot of industrial research projects also. Next question we have is for Prof Ng. Are CCAs compulsory and what impact do they have on my academic GPA?
Right. CCA by itself, it's not compulsory in your academic curriculum. Having said that, it does sort of provide certain advantage if you take out CCA, okay? Because if you're involved in CCA, especially in the management committees, you develop important soft skills like leadership, teamwork, communication skills, which in fact actually would help you in the long run in your career development. And of course, in the campus itself, if you want to stay in the hall, then the CCA will also get you some CCA points, hall points, that would allow you to stay in the hall if that's something that you look forward to. So in fact, increasingly, the industry is also looking for students with not just academic excellence, the soft skills and some of this CCA involvement will actually put you ahead of everybody else, if you have done well in your CCA. So I would say, although you come to a university to pursue your degree program, it is in fact also important to pay attention to CCAs and be involved so that you develop all these necessary soft skills and also the network that you'll develop, from working with various people from different fields of studies. Right.
Thank you, Prof. Ng. We have a question from the Zoom chat. Okay, this is for Prof. Tan. Do you think information engineering and media degree, IEM, is good to prepare me to become UI UX designer in the future? Or do you think the Bachelor of Fine Arts in Design Art would be better for me?
It actually depends on which part of the UI UX, user experience or interface that you are interested in. If you actually more focus on the programming part or AI, the technical part, I think IEM will prepare you well. And of course, if you more interested in the design component, right, and that perhaps the other program may suit you better. So IEM is still an engineering program. So that means that we still focus quite a bit on the technical thing, which are important for you to get many possible jobs, right? And UI and UX is a field that also evolving, right? If you are talking about the kind of metaverse, right? Lately, people talk a lot, right? That also need you to have a lot of so-called programming and all this intelligence, all this so-called interaction inside that kind of a world. And then technical edge will be important, and you really cannot do those things without the technical knowledge, right? It depends on really where your interest lie. So IEM is a very unique and niche program, which you do not find many such programs elsewhere, that provide you both the technical and the design so-called kind of training. And of course, to be really expert in any of this field, you have to continue to practice, to develop yourself, and based on your interest. There will be a lot of projects and modules or electives courses you can select to equip you better in the area that you like to focus on. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Tan. Now we have a question for Prof. Leong. Why do you think females should take up engineering, like to our female students out there?
Well, I would tweak the question to why female students cannot take engineering. I mean, now we are in a very advanced year. I mean, we should take whatever courses we are interested in. So there's no reasons why we cannot take engineering for the female students. And in fact, my questions will be more general to why students should take out engineering, and especially in our EE school. I would say that our EE school is very diverse. Like Prof. Tan had mentioned, we have a lot of courses, right, for the big system, power engineering, robotics, etc., to nano devices in microelectronics. So for my own experience, when I did my first degree in EE, right, I also do not know what I want. But this school actually gave me a very diverse exposure to all the different subjects and courses. So through that, I actually know my interests. And in fact, after 4 years of graduation, you never know which area is very hot. So this actually gives us a bigger, more, I would say, stronger foundations to go into different areas of specializations. And although now AI or machine learning is a hot area, you also do not know what happens in the subsequent 10 years or time. So for my case, I did a control system as a specializations, but later on I branched into doing PhD in microelectronics. So my point is that EEE actually give us a more diverse exposure, more freedom, and you can actually jump into different occupation in later on. And for the women students, again, there's no stopping us in doing any engineering subject as long as you have passion, you have interest, right? Then I think there's no reason why you should not join our school. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof Leong. We have another question. I think it's for Prof Gui. Okay, can share the school fee structure. I think what they mean is the structure of the school. Prof Gui, you are still muted. Thank you.
I was muted. Okay, thank you for the question. So the tuition fee have a different category. So maybe I talk about this. For Singaporean, the annual tuition fee is 8,250. For Singapore PR is 11,550. For international student, is actually you have to be a subsidy or not subsidy. Subsidy means that you have to after your graduation you have to work in Singapore for a few years, which is annually is 17,650. For the non-subsidy student, which is lab-based, which is for us is considered lab-based cost, and then it's 33,700. So again, is that all this is actually on the NTU website, so it's open information. And then one thing to share is that you also can take a tuition loan, which is again is from the bank, and then after that 90% will be tuition loan, 10% will be paid by the cash. Thank you.
If I may add, apart from the tuition fee, right, for those that if you really need additional support, right, and there are a lot of these so-called year-based yearly scholarship that you can apply for. Some are based on subject, based on your result in NTU or before you join NTU. There are also bursary. In fact, there are more bursary than the students in NTU. You can also apply. And there are also a lot of work study scheme opportunities in the school and outside the school. Yeah, if you do need to earn extra so-called pocket monies, allowance, these are some of the opportunities that you can actually find in NTU and also in the school of EEE.
Thank you, Prof Tan and Prof Gui. Okay, so for the next question we have is for Prof Ng. What are the modules in EEE in NTU?
Modules, right. Okay, so generally, if you look at the curriculum structure in our school for EEE program, for those starting from the first year, largely will be A-level students. Of course, some poly students also choose to start from first year. We essentially covers a lot of the foundation subjects that's required in the discipline itself. So things like engineering physics, engineering math. So this will be basically covered to allow our students to build a foundation before they proceed to higher years. In the second year itself, we will do a little bit more specialized courses related to EEE, you know, things like digital electronics, circuit analysis, semiconductor fundamentals. And for poly students starting from second year, you know, these are some of the subjects that they would essentially cover. From third year onwards, generally students would choose a broad area of specialization, and depending on what specific areas that you focus on, the subject that you will cover essentially will vary, right? So this course information is essentially available online at our school website. So if you're interested in more details, you can refer to that. And of course, if you have any specific questions, you know, just feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you about your concerns.
Thank you, Prof Ng. Now we have a question for Jaff. Is every module project-based, based on your experience?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think from what I have taken course, I mean, like every student will specialize in a certain, you know, range of different disciplines. So for me, I'm my specialization is actually in data processing and artificial intelligence. So I think to answer that question, all of the fundamental modules in year 1 and year 2, as what Prof mentions, some of them actually does have project-based, but I think you actually find the project-based more interesting compared to the regular, just the lesson, the curriculum-based, because they really get your hands dirty and you get a chance to work on some of the electronics, some of the electronics ideas that's been taught during lectures. So I think some of the modules are like Intro to Practical Design, DIP. DIP is one of the larger project-based that EEE has. And of course, in your 4th year, you will have experience, doing a final year project. And that is something is quite memorable. I mean, you really get your hands dirty and really work on some of the state-of-the-art technologies that, EEE has to offer. Yeah, so hopefully that answers the question. And also, I mean, there's non-technical modules like your engineering, communications, and all those modules. They also have some level of project-based, but it's pretty interesting and fun. Yeah.
So to add on, right, actually, yeah, there's like what Jaff said, there will be a lot of project mods, especially in year 3 and also year 4. There's the final year design project, which actually you choose a topic to work on with a group of maybe 3 or 4 of you, and yeah, then you learn a lot of teamwork and collaboration skills from these modules. Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi and Jaffe. Next, we have a question for Prof Tan. What are the key differences between EEE and mechanical engineering in NTU?
In NTU, of course, again, as I mentioned earlier, EEE focus on, right, actually, if you come to the 3rd year, right, earlier on, Jaffe, Prof talked about the first 2 years, you have those foundation courses that related to EEE that you need to study. But then when you come to the 3rd year, you have 3 options. Right? The first one is electrical and system engineering, which study power, control, robotics, automation related courses, including even biomedical engineering courses under the first option. Right, and the second option is IC, electronics, micro E, wafer fabrication, and those electronic so-called courses. And the third is what we call information engineering and system, right, and ICT, like communication, artificial intelligence, right, and all these even computer engineering related courses, infocom, right. And those are under the 3rd option. So student can choose one of the options to focus on when you move forward. So for mechanical engineering, of course, these are not the module they will study. Perhaps they focus more on this fluid dynamic, right, thermodynamic and courses, and also some of these mechanical. And they also have robotic, but focus more on the mechanical part of the robotics. Right, and some of these courses are really closer to what perhaps the student more familiar in your physics, right? All these so-called mechanical part, the forces that you study. So it is not quite the same. Of course, we do have students that study this so-called mechatronic, which somehow sit in between the mechanical and the electronics. So you can go to, of course, I understand that for many of the JC students, you may find such courses less familiar with, because in your A-level curriculum, and these are the so-called more specialized topic that you only study maybe in the physics, in the chemistry, and those mathematics courses. But when you come to uni, therefore, the first 2 years, you'll get yourself more familiar with all these different so-called areas and discipline. So after the first 2 years, you will get yourself already, know better, right? What are really the focus that you want to learn more? Then you can make the choice afterward. So if I really look at it from the outside view, Triple E perhaps is broader, and like what Prof Leong mentioned, we are very diverse. So you can find many different topics that you could develop your interest and perhaps study together with a group of your peers that have a common interest together, right? EEE, and that is one of the things that which we pride ourselves different from more or many other different engineering disciplines. So it's very broad-based, and you can also have many options and choices when you actually move to the advanced year of study in the Triple E. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Tan. Now we have a question for Jaff. Is it okay for poly students who have no experience with engineering to join the course? Will it be hard to catch up? And yeah, coping for students who come from poly.
Okay, so yeah, I think I didn't really mention this. So actually, I'm also similar to Kimberley. I'm also from poly. I came from Ngee Ann Poly. So I did my Triple E program within a short 3 years. So to answer to your question, I would not say that it will be a problem for you to catch up, because I feel that whatever is your area of discipline in poly, probably you have some level of practical skills, and that will really be a value add to you. But have to be honest that, you know, when you come to university, do prepare to expect yourself to do a bit of more theoretical stuff. And those are the things that really sits on the foundation of mathematics, fundamental science. And these are some of the things that maybe at the start you might struggle, but don't worry. I think Triple E has a lot of great professors that, you know, they really take the time and go the extra miles to help you out. And also remember that, you know, people before you has already went through the same path. So definitely you are in safe hands. So hopefully that's all for sure. Just whoever asked that question.
Thank you, Jaff. Now we have a question for Prof Gui. Is there any help provided to JC students who haven't learned the technical knowledge compared to poly students?
Yeah, for some JC students or those who are actually came back from after their NS, so we have such thing called preparation course before the term start. And this preparation course, we have mathematics, physics, as well as computing. So I strongly encourage a student that feel that they want to have some feel of these fundamental courses. They should sign up for this free program. And then this one has no exam, it just go through a lecture and then give you some feel of these fundamental courses. You know, all these fundamental courses, when we start teaching, some students might feel that you get a little bit rusted after 2 or 3 years or 2 years in the national service, or this when you are actually a break from for a few months didn't study these courses. So I strongly encourage you to sign up, and then this will help the student a lot.
So may I add to that? I saw that there are also a couple of questions about polytechnic students, whether they should study from year 2 or can they spend 3.5 years to complete the program, right? Which is relevant to the question asked just now. In fact, the year 1 is, we call it kind of transition year. It's meant to help those JC students, right, to better prepare yourself for more technical courses in a different disciplinary program, right? So discipline, right, it can be Triple E, it can be MAE, it can be even computer engineering. So the year 1 are those courses that you study to prepare yourself for all these more advanced courses. That's why for polytechnic students, if they already have some of these so-called knowledge, they could join starting from year 2. So most of the year 1 courses could be exempted, except now we have this so-called ICC, interdisciplinary core courses, which are meant to let students to study something beyond their major, right? So they get the chance to study with students from different schools, different colleges, on those more kind of soft skill and general knowledge. And therefore, some polytechnic students, if they feel that they are not so ready, right, to start from year 2, and I think we have this, some students here, they actually start from year 1, like Kimberley, right? You can choose to study from year 1. You can also select some courses, not all, to be exempted. so that you can finish in 3.5 years rather than 4 years or 3 years. And there are some flexibility in terms of how you pace yourself to study in the university, right? Like Prof Lin also mentioned that study is not the whole so-called story of your university life, right? And more importantly is for you to develop yourself. That includes that you have to participate in a lot of these CCA, whole life activities and group projects, so that you can develop the skills and the confidence to work with others, right? And many of these peers that you are working with, they could be your coworker in the future, so even your employee, your bosses in the future. So therefore, it's good to develop all these network, so that in future you will see that they are all in this so-called different so-called sectors that you have a very good connection with. And if you choose to start a company, right, many of our students nowadays also think about it, and you know who can be with you as a co-founders, as a so-called founders of the companies, right? And these are a lot of the other part that you may not see just from those courses. So do give yourself a lot of time to develop, which is the most important thing for your university experience, in particular with NTU.
Maybe I can add on to the,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Ignacius.
Yeah, okay, maybe I can add on to how the JC students can cope better with the technical knowledge. So after NS, I was actually went for the refresher course that Prof Lee mentioned. So the refresher course lasted for about a month, and it really helped me assimilate better into university. And it got me into the mindset of being a student again. And coming from JC, I actually have close to zero knowledge about programming, and I still have a keen interest in IEM. So what I did for myself is actually signing up for courses online or watching YouTube videos about programming. So I really think that it really helped me in year one, and the stuff that we learn in year one would be easier to comprehend after I learned all this before the time I matriculated. So my advice to all the prospective students coming in would be try to make use of the time before you matriculate to maybe learn more about electronics if you are interested in EEE, or programming if you're interested in IEM, and so on. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof Lee, Prof Tan, and Ignacius. Oh, sorry, Jaff,
Yeah.
please.
Maybe I just want to add on to what Prof Tan mentioned. I think I can't agree more with what Prof Tan had said, because being a student that went through the whole cycle, I realized that actually when you enter into NTU, you're already sort of like in a state of mind where you are able to be independent and make your own decisions. So the amount of duration of how long you want to extend your study, or shorten your study, or even accelerate your study is really up to you to plan your curriculum. And that is something unique about NTU. There are a lot of students that can plan their curriculum starting from like second years onward. So I think it's really about what you take the extra time to make the best use out of your 3 or 4 years in NTU EEE. So you can really be quite productive in that sense. Yeah, so hopefully that will be add on to what Prof Tan mentioned.
Thank you, Jaffé. Okay, so we have a question for Prof Leong. Can I join any research projects, and how?
Research project, you mean? Do you mean research project?
Yes, research projects.
Yeah, sure. So in NTU, we have different levels of research project. For example, the Eureka. So for students in the year 1, year 2, if you're interested to take a short research project with any of the professor, you can also contact the professor and then do a 1 year of research projects. Then subsequently, we have our final year projects. That will be a bigger scope of work. And what else? We also have the, so if, like I said, during the term break, you are really interested to do some hands-on and try to experience different kind of research project. Again, a lot of professors also have some short-term projects that are available for you all to actually participate during the vacation break.
Thank you, Prof Leong. Okay. Oh, yeah. So, okay, so we have a question for Prof Ng. I heard that the first month of admission is all online lessons. Is that true? If not, what is the schedule for July to August admission?
First month. Okay, that's probably what you heard from your seniors in the past 2 years. And because of the COVID, a lot of the lessons has been converted to online format. In fact, this semester onwards, tutorials has sort of come back to physical for those classes that's less than 30. And those that's more than 30, we sort of run it hybrid. So in the coming months, if the COVID situation sort of ease and stabilize, then I think we can look forward to probably full physical class when you guys join us in this academic year. Of course, it depends on the situation in terms of how it develops later on. So I would say at this stage, based on current situation, I think minimum the tutorials will be physical. Of course, the laboratory classes that we have will be physical. And hopefully by this coming academic year, the lectures probably will come back to physical as well.
Thank you, Prof. Ng. Okay, so we have a question for Heidi. You mentioned that you have an industrial project. What is your role and how do you manage to take up the project?
Okay, so just to elaborate more on what the industry project that I'm part of is about, it's actually a project started to help the visually impaired to cope with their visual impairment by creating a VR simulation of what life will be like after being diagnosed with various eye diseases. So as for my role in the project, right, due to it being a very small team of 5 of us only, I'm actually helping out in various parts of the project, from like development side to the testing and the QA part of things. So because of this, I was able to learn many things that I otherwise won't be exposed to during the normal curriculum, such as like how to code for VR simulations and also to design a VR environment using game building software such as Unity, which I have actually never heard of until I actually joined this industry project. So as I will have to work on the project alongside my studies, it's a lot about managing the time as well as juggling both things at once. And as for how I was able to take up the project, right? It's actually I actually heard of this project through like the school emails. Like they actually send out recruitment for people to actually take up such projects. And this was actually a project that started from previous years. And they were recruiting people to actually take over the project. So yeah, that was how I was able to come across this project, and because of the cost behind it and I was also interested in VR. That's why I actually sent in my resume and stuff, and yeah, and I applied for it.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, so we have a question. I am from SP Diploma in EEE and I was offered direct entry to second year for NTU EEE. Is there an option to complete the degree in 3.5 years instead? If so, what are the advantages and how would it work? This is for Jaff.
Yeah, so I think sort of to answer that question, I think I previously addressed a similar point, so that you can actually enter in a 3-year program, but if let's say you want to spread your module a bit, you can try to break it into 2 subsequent semesters, so that will really extend into 3.5 year. I don't think you can opt for a 3.5 year. There's no such thing as opt for a 3.5 year. So you either do a 4-year, you do it fast, it becomes 3.5, or you do a 3-year but you extend 1 semester. Yeah, so that's actually quite a common thing. So people, they take LOA to actually do some form of like attachments, or they want to explore certain areas. So for me, I was fortunate to actually go for exchange to the States. So these are some of the opportunities that NTU actually offers to students, and these are some of the opportunities that you might want to grab on. So if let's say if you need to, you can actually extend your module so that it's not so packed together, and it really give you the extra time that what Prof Tan mentioned for you to explore and really take this good time to discover what you are really interested in. Yeah.
Thank you, Jaffe. Now we have a question for Prof Leong. Is it necessary for all students to take part in FYP?
It is. It's one of the compulsory subject you have to take for your final year to graduate. Yeah, but like we mentioned, there's a lot of FYP's project proposal being proposed by the professor. So you definitely have a wide choice and able to match your interests accordingly.
Thank you, Prof Leong. Now we have a question to Prof Tan. May I know if EEE or IEM, particularly IEM, as it seems like a more flexible degree, will allow me to enter the music, hardware/software development industry, designing audio speakers?
Yeah, that is a very specific question, right? And let me perhaps answer the question in the indirect way. I actually hope that when students come to uni, right, they will start with an open mind. Because right now, your interests are likely developed based on what you have experienced, what you know. And there are still a lot of things that you might not have learned, right, in your so-called learning journey so far. So just take me as an example. When I was in the uni under this EE program, which is also another NTU, and I thought my interest is in micro E or electronics because I did quite well in all these micro E courses, and happened that the professors are also very, very good in teaching what they cover in those topics. So I have strong passion, and all my graduate school I apply all are all in EE related except one, and which turned out that and opened my eye, and then I went into to study signal processing, image and video, and then AI, machine learning, all this stuff after I joined. So then I realized that even uni, I didn't really quite fully understand my interest is, and also interest can be something that you also develop over the journey of your experience, and have an open mind. And of course, EEE, as I mentioned earlier, is very broad. If you are interested in both the hardware and the software stuff, this is actually the program you should join. Right? Then after you develop the so-called the expertise, right? Whether you want to apply it to the music industry, to metaverse, to any the autonomous vehicle design, to many, many other applications, then you have the knowledge to do so. That is driven by maybe your passion, your interest. In EEE, we do have a few professors very much focused on sounds, and music, and audio, and all this so-called technology. Certainly, there are a lot of projects, either the undergraduate project or FIP project, even research project. We do engage students to work on those areas. And for example, one example is you heard about all these soundproof window, right? In the city like Singapore, right? The noise pollution become a major issue, right? How do you build those building with windows that actually can, stop the noise, stop all this so-called noise pollution, right? And these are some of the IP and research projects we have ongoing in EEE.
Thank you, Prof Tan. Now we have a question for Ignacius. For guys now in NS, how and when should we apply the uni course?
Okay, thank you for your question. For guys in NS, I understand that there are, I think, 3 opportunities for you to apply in uni, like for year 1 NS, year 2, and after you complete NS. So you have like 3 times to apply for a university course. For me, I was very clear that I want to have a career in IEM. So I applied in year 1, in first year of NS, yes. So if you are still unsure about the course, I recommend you to learn more through all our sessions in the afternoon as well, and maybe on our website. And the application period will be around March to April. And if you have a keen interest in programming, I really recommend you to try IEM. And for the other side, it will be electrical engineering. If you're more interested in electronics and to dabble with more hands-on circuits. Yeah.
Thank you, Ignacius. Now we have a question for Prof Gui. How much of EEE is traditional, meaning designing PCBs, ICs, and how much of EEE is software-based, machine learning, or is this something that differs based on the student?
Thank you for the question. Okay, you can look at it. It's actually that when you study primary, secondary school, the English is a language of communication. Then when you go higher, and then you know that when you have to do science, program, the physics and the mathematics is actually compulsory. And then when you come to engineering, the software is actually the language for engineering. I call it. So actually software is everywhere. You need to understand, start from first year all the way to year 4. And for the hardware is actually our strength. So you can see all the mobile phone, all the electronic devices actually is what we have designed, what we have taught them. So start from the first year, second year, those circuit analysis, analog, digital, electronic design, all the way to the final year, how we design IC, how we design the UAV, telecommunication devices. So this means that it's up to you to choose whether how many percent you want to be in software, how many percent you have to be in hardware. And then for the machine learning, we will always say that it's also your interest. You want to, for example, my project focus a lot on the machine learning, cyber security, hardware security. So it's actually when you teach you fundamental, then you can split yourself when you come to third and final year, how much you want to put your focus onto the software, hardware, or those who are in between. Like for example, interfaces, telecommunication, those are actually mixed in between these two. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prof Gui. Now I have a question for Jaff. How was your overseas experiences like as a student?
Yeah, so I think before I answer that question, I want to add on to what Prof Gui has mentioned about the traditional and what is new. I guess after going through the entire curriculum and being someone doing research in machine learning and AI, I realized that there's no such thing as traditional and what is new, because a lot of the new stuff is actually built on the foundation of traditional stuff. So, you know, if you are just going into the new stuff without having a good fundamental understanding of the traditional stuff, you'll realize that you're only knowing the surface of the knowledge that is being taught to you. So I hope that sort of answer what this guy is trying to ask. So I think to address your second question about overseas, I think there's a lot of overseas opportunities in NTU and in NTU EEE itself. So I think Prof Gui mentioned that my batch, we actually went to Silicon Valley to actually have a tour of all the tech companies there, from Meta to Google. And that is only one of the trips that I went with NTU. In fact, I went with NTU to Korea, India. I went to US to compete for hackathons. So I guess there's a lot of this opportunity. It's really up to the individual, whether are you keen of taking up these opportunities. But of course, the most common ones that we know is actually the exchange program, and also some of the internship program can also be done overseas. So yeah, don't worry about that. I think there's a lot of opportunities in when you once you join NTU to actually travel overseas with the school. Yeah.
Thank you, Jaffei. Now we have a question.
I encourage that everyone do that, because really you get to see the world from a bigger perspective than what it is in Singapore.
Can't wait to go for mine.
Okay, maybe can I add on to what Jaffei just shared? Because I saw there is a question about the advantage of learning data science and analytics in EEE, right, in other disciplines. Because Jaffei will be a good example, right? He is actually specialized in machine learning, AI, even got a scholarship to go overseas to pursue his PhD in this area. So the way I see is, okay, machine learning AI is not something new, like what Jaffei mentioned earlier. Many of the disciplines have been developed for years. Even machine learning AI, right? If you look back, can start in 1950 something, right? So over the years, EEE, computer engineering, computer science, even mathematics, all these disciplines, they have added new knowledge and principle and foundation to this field, right? So studying data science analytics in EEE, that not just let you be equipped with those key knowledge on machine learning, data analytics, and AI, they actually also provide you the domain knowledge, which is very important because the programming would not prepare the breakfast for you, would not solve the world energy climate challenge for you, right? You still need the domain knowledge, right? So let's say if you want to design an autonomous vehicle, right? You need a lot of sensors. You need to know how to collect the data, where to look, when to look, what to analyze. And all this can only be possible by domain knowledge, right? Just like for those you learn machine learning, you know that machine learning neural network, actually they first started not in the image and video, it's actually in the speech processing, right? Then later on, they applied to many other disciplines. The fundamental principles are more or less the same. But with the domain knowledge, then you can customize those principles to solve practical problems in different domain knowledge. In fact, which is what the AI, machine learning, the challenge that the field are facing. They have a lot of tools, but how do you apply them to solve practical problems that you need the domain knowledge? Like Prof Gui mentioned, he's an expert in hardware security, apply machine learning and AI to design all these solutions. So without the domain knowledge, you really cannot really solve those very challenging problems in the different disciplines. I believe there will be the age that EEE can provide to all the students, and not just you have the skill, you also have the domain expertise to tackle the most challenging problems.
Thank you, Jaff and Prof Tan. Now we have a question about the minor programs. Is it recommended for poly students or even JC students to take on them? Sorry, this question is addressed to Prof.
Right. So the requirement for minor program, it's actually quite straightforward in a sense that when you take on a degree program, right? And if you so decide to do a minor, all you have to do is to find out what's the course requirements. Okay, if I'm not wrong, it should be around 6 modules they need to take relevant to that minor. And once you complete it, you can just declare and you have that minor already. So of course, whether you should do it or not really depends on individual interest. Some students are interested in a specific area, which perhaps they don't want to do a full course in it or full degree program in it, but they want to learn a little bit more. And they can actually achieve it through this avenue, right? They find out what the course requirement, pick up those modules, study it, and just declare. So it's not essentially, I guess, compulsory. If you are interested, you could just pick out those courses and do it and declare.
Yeah, just to add to that, right? Not necessarily that you need to study more modules. Basically, if you start as a so-called year one, from year one, right, there will be those so-called free elective or unrestricted elective AU, so academic units that you can use to focus your study on a particular areas to earn a minor degree, right? Which we have many minor degree options for the students. So for example, the one of the popular one will be on this entrepreneurship, right? And which is something that you can develop the kind of skill sets to start a company yourself if you are so interested in that, right? If of course you have wide interest, you don't want to focus all those unrestricted or free elective on a particular discipline, then you can select from different so-called areas that you get all this interesting so-called knowledge beyond your major, beyond the EE discipline.
Thank you, Prof Tan and Prof Ng. Okay, so now we have a question for Prof Gui, and it's about poly module exemptions, and also what are if a student from poly were to join direct year 2, what are the modules that they miss out?
Sorry, I don't quite get a question. Is it
Okay,
what are the
so-
modules that can be exempted, or what do you mean?
okay. So firstly, is it recommended for poly students to get module exemptions?
Good question. Okay, for poly exemption, even for the JC also. So there are a few courses. In here, we thought about degree is a program subject. In here, you also call subject, we call courses. So for the courses that you have done very well in the poly, and also you got a certificate of merits or gold medalist, silver medalist, all this, then you can ask for exemption. Usually, we exempt the student up to maximum of 3 courses. So it is mathematics. For example, those electronic courses you have taken in the poly, like digital electronics or those NR electronics. And then for the JC student, usually they can actually exempt physics, mathematics, and those courses that are equivalent. But I will strongly encourage the student, because even you are exempted, that means that you do not need to take the course in the particular year or particular semester, but I strongly encourage a student to attend the tutorials, attend the lectures, so that they can have sufficient knowledge, so that while they do not need to take the exam and quizzes and the module, but because when we teach these courses in the university, like for example, digital electronics, if you are exempted, you realize that our digital electronic and your digital electronic you learn in poly may not be exactly the same. So we may be teaching something that more advanced, or you are exempted. So it becomes a disadvantage to you if you think that you're exempted, you do not need to take this course. This is slightly different for while you're playing a badminton competition. If you actually exempted first round, when you go to second round, you have a same advantage. So in university, we allow the student to register for the course, but in a way exempted, do not need to take exam, but sit for the classes like tutorial or lecture. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof. Kui. Now we have a question for Jaff. So for poly students who direct admission to year 2, will they be missing out on any modules that were taught in the first year?
Yeah, so I think just to add on one point to what Prof Kui has mentioned just now about the exemption is that, because personally I have exempted quite a number of modules when I enter my direct year 2. So if you exempt some of the modules, you need to take note of the total amount of modules required to graduate. So that is something that you have to bear in mind when you are doing the exemption, because it might mean at the end of your last year there might be some more heavy balance of the credit. So I think this is some of the things that you might need to work out when you consider the exemption. So also to answer that question, do we miss out on anything that if let's say we skip the first year? So I think we need a lot of their fundamental modules also is being taught in the second years for poly students. So I think you might miss out on some of the more practical modules that they expose to the first year students as foundational modules. But I think some of these foundational modules has already, you probably have covered it somewhat in your poly days. So some of these modules can be technical modules to teach how to do soldering, to how to connect electronics together. So I will assume that some of these modules you probably are exposed to it. So I will not say that you were missed out, because you are also still being taught the fundamental physics, math, and all those modules that people are taking in year 1. Yeah, so hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you, Jaff. Now we have a question for Prof Ng. Is it possible for students to have a double degree program? I'm interested in this BSc Physics and EEE.
Physics and EEE. Okay. I don't think we have a double degree program with physics and EEE. So yeah, it's asking whether there's such a double degree, is it?
Yeah, I think the person wants to ask about double degree programs in general.
Okay. Well, although we don't have double degree in EEE and physics, we do have double degree in EEE and economics. That's something that I'm interested in. So in general, for a double degree program, you essentially are basically taking 2 degrees. And of course, if you think about it, if you actually do 2 degrees side by side, one after another, then the total duration is actually quite long. But in terms of a double degree program, our duration is 5 years, which means that you actually do 2 degrees in 5 years, and you can expect the workload to be heavy. And so in terms of opting for this, you have to basically apply separately from the sort of EEE degree or the IEM degree when you're doing your selection, okay? So you have to indicate it as a choice. So it's not something that you can say come in as a EEE program student and then halfway you convert. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so you have to apply right from the beginning, and if you get selected for it, then you would pursue that degree program, because the sort of curriculum structure is a bit different. And also the double degree program with the rigor that is required, is also very competitive. So the selection criteria is also quite stringent. So you usually have to go for interviews and all that.
Yeah, can I add a little bit? So for EEE, currently we offer one double degree programs, which is a Bachelor of Engineering in IEM or EEE, and Bachelor of Arts in Economics. So this is a double degree program we offer. And also we also offer the 2 second major program, which is a Bachelor of Engineering in EEE or IEM with second major in business. As well as second one is a Bachelor of Engineering in EEE with second major and IEM or IEM with second major in society and urban systems. So like what the Prof had mentioned, double degree you will need to take 5 years, and then there will be a second major is actually you have 1 degree, and then the major of the other degree. So you only have 1 class Bachelor of Engineering. So with the second major, you only need to take 4 years, but you need to indicate when you apply as well as when you're in the first year, because subsequently you find that you cannot squeeze so many courses in 1 semester. Yeah, that's all I want to add. Thank you.
So for subject and module exemption, you can apply for exemption, but possible, please go for the result you can learn the subject module that might be used in other.
Someone is asking a question.
Hi,
Okay,
DJ. Okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
maybe let me add on to what Bahui just mentioned. Of course, double degrees probably make better sense, right? If the discipline they study are quite complementary, which then you spend the additional 1 or 2 years to earn a second degree. If you look at overseas, all the so-called program overseas, right? I think you probably seldom see double bachelor degree program, that kind of combination, which is rather niche and unique. Probably more common is you study a bachelor, then complement with a master degree, which you can also receive in 5 years, right? If not sooner, right? Which increasingly become more and more common. Or second major that we already offer. We have many second major degree, which you need to earn additional 30 AUs, right? Which is about 10 courses or 10 modules to get a second majors, right? Because a lot of the bachelor degree, you also have a lot of this general knowledge, right? ICC courses, which you only need to learn once, you didn't duplicate it. So if you are interested in more advanced degree and knowledge, consider a master degree or even PhD, which is another 3 to 4 years, you earn a PhD, right? So that is probably more common.
Thank you, Prof Tan. Okay, so we cannot answer all of the questions because it's so many. Thank you for keeping them coming. And we will have to wrap up this session now.
Yeah. Before then, can I answer one question which I see students asking again and again?
Sure.
What is a so-called minimum requirement to study in EEE and IEM? So let me highlight 2 important points that is for all the students to take note. So NTU now will focus a lot on this so-called aptitude admission. So that means we don't just look at your so-called A-level or even poly O-level result only. And they will also be interviewed to find out whether you are really interested in or suitable to study in this program. So for those, if you are really interested, do apply. and put us as your top choices, then you can get an interview from us. And secondly is our school is perhaps one of the largest engineering programs in Singapore. That means we take in a lot of students. So that means we take in very, very good student, average student, or maybe even slightly below average students. Why? Because there are many jobs available. If you go to look at the most recent graduate employment survey, right, our students command one of the highest average pay among all the engineering program offered in NTU. You go and take a look. And remember the size of our cohort, right? So 600 students, you look at a 75 percentile, so you're looking at about 150 students earning at least that kind of salary. Then if you compare us to a slightly smaller program, like those programs only take in 300 students, 200 students, you should compare our 75 percentile with their, with their so-called medium percentile, right? Because of the number. So that means there are a lot of jobs they offer very competitive salary to our graduates. So not necessarily you have to be, perfect in your GPA or in your coursework study. More importantly, we want to develop our students the kind of skill set, the kind of confidence, the kind of so-called mindset that can tackle those challenges and problems in the different industry. That is the key that we offer to our students. So I hope you do consider us, and I hope to seeing you in the school in the next year or very near future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Prof Tan. And if you have more questions, please refer to the Zoom chat. There's an email where you can email your questions to. And there's also, thank you, everyone. Any last words from the panelists, words of encouragement, words for students who are considering NTU EEE and IEM?
Perhaps I would like to just add that, when we look around for different degree programs to study, do consider the other aspects as well in terms of student development, which is also very important in terms of your career pursuit in the future. In fact, after today's session, we also have sort of physical visits as well. If you're interested, do come and see our facilities, talk to our students. In fact, even if you can't come, you can drop us an email, and we'll have people that can talk to you, to basically share you in more details.
I just one word to share is that do what you like, and then choose the area that you like to pursue in your whole life, in a sense that you will enjoy doing, and you'll do very well.
I think maybe just as a graduate student of EEE, I think maybe one word for all the prospective students will be, as what Prof Tan mentioned, NTU EEE is a very diverse degree, and it's what we always believe, one degree, a world of opportunities. So it really opens you up to a world of opportunities in terms of your career and whatever you want to do in the future. So yeah, hope to see you guys in NTU EEE.
Okay, my advice to the oncoming students would be don't be afraid to try out new things, and university life might be the very last time you try out new stuff and still have fun. And even if we fail, we can only learn from all this and only grow. So it's okay to be a little more adventurous and explore the things you're interested in.
For me, I hope after this Q&A, y'all have a better idea of what EEE and IEM is all about. And do take your time to actually read up on the courses available, and do not rush into choosing and making a decision. Yeah, I wish you guys best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you, everyone, for the final words. I hope that our attendees today have benefited from attending this Zoom panel discussion. And to attendees, I hope that we have answered all your questions and doubts, even through the email. And we hope to see you in EEE when the semester starts in August.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
wait.
Bye-bye.
Yes, MLD workshop, a machine learning data analytics workshop for prospective students. It's on 1st March actually, and you can go to the NTU EEE Openhouse website to sign up for it.
Yeah, we
Thank
also
you.
have a lab tour. You can sign up the lab tour to visit our laboratories also. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for attending.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye guys.